In a quiet suburban neighborhood nestled just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, lived the Harrison family, Ethan, Melissa, and their two children, Max and Lily. From the outside, their life appeared to be the picture of perfection. Ethan was a financial consultant, sharp, articulate, and well-liked in the community. Melissa was a freelance designer who often worked from home, making time for PTA meetings, soccer practices, and bedtime stories. Together, they gave the impression of a model family. But beneath the surface, something had been breaking for years. The story begins not with a fight, but with silence. A silence that grew over months and then years. Melissa and Ethan stopped talking about the little things, the things that made them laugh or worry. The distance between them was no longer emotional, it was physical. They slept in separate rooms, avoided eye contact during dinner, and exchanged only necessary words. Their relationship had turned into a quiet war, with the children caught in the middle, unaware of the legal hurricane that would soon turn their world upside down. When Ethan filed for divorce, it wasn't a surprise. What shocked Melissa was that he immediately requested full custody of Max and Lily. Her world shattered. In her mind, they were going to figure out a joint arrangement, something fair, something civil. Instead, she was thrust into a legal battle that tested everything she believed about love, motherhood, and justice. The courtroom became the new battleground. Both parents brought forward their narratives. Ethan claimed that Melissa was mentally unstable, using screenshots of late-night messages, old therapy notes, and neighbor testimonies to prove his point. Melissa, in turn, argued that Ethan was manipulative, controlling, and emotionally distant from the children. Outside the court, public opinion quickly divided. Friends took sides. Melissa's sister posted cryptic quotes on social media about betrayal, while Ethan's colleagues at the firm kept whispering about how there's always more to the story. And then came the children. Max, just 9 years old, was called in for a psychological evaluation. Lily, only 6, cried every night asking when they would go back to their old home. The court appointed a guardian ad litem, an attorney who would speak for the children's best interests. And suddenly, every detail of their parenting was under a microscope. Melissa remembered the moment clearly when the guardian visited her home. The toys were arranged perfectly. The kitchen smelled like fresh cookies, but her hands trembled. She knew this wasn't about appearances. It was about proving she was still worthy of her title, Mom. Meanwhile, Ethan's legal team presented surveillance footage showing Melissa at a bar with friends, laughing and dancing just 2 weeks after the divorce filing. They framed it as irresponsibility. But Melissa's attorney fought back, arguing that one night out didn't define her parenting. They brought forward school records, pediatrician logs, and even Max's drawing from 2nd grade, where he wrote, "Mommy helps me with my monsters." The pressure intensified. Each hearing felt like a battle, with both sides slinging not just facts, but emotions, fears, and regrets. And as the trial gained traction, local media picked up the story. A custody battle involving a well-known financial consultant and a popular community mom, it was too juicy to ignore. In interviews outside the courthouse, both Ethan and Melissa gave statements. The second phase of the custody battle between Ethan and Melissa took a darker, more emotionally charged turn. With both sides now fully armed with evidence, witnesses, and emotional narratives, the courtroom became a place of unraveling truths, not just about parenting, but about the relationship that had long been breaking. The judge ordered a family therapist to assess the children. Max, who was once a bubbly, confident boy, had started to shut down. He barely spoke during the sessions and often drew pictures of a house split down the middle. Lily, in her quiet innocence, talked about how Mommy and Daddy yelled through walls. The therapist's report was devastating. It said both parents were unintentionally causing emotional harm to the children, not out of neglect or abuse, but out of unresolved anger toward each other. Melissa took the stand next. Her lawyer asked her to explain what kind of mother she thought she was. Her voice cracked, and the courtroom fell silent as she spoke. "I'm not perfect. I yell sometimes. I forget school picture day. But I'm always there. I've stayed up all night for fevers, practiced lines with Max for his school play, and held Lily's hand through nightmares. That's what being a mum is." Ethan, who was typically calm and composed, broke character during his testimony. When asked about his accusations that Melissa was unstable, he paused, looked down, and then said, "We both made mistakes. I was scared. I thought taking control meant protecting my children. Maybe I was wrong." It was the first time both of them appeared human in the courtroom, not just plaintiff and defendant. The judge took notice, but then came the turning point. A surprise witness was called by Melissa's team, Ethan's former assistant, Claire. She testified under oath that Ethan had once asked her to keep tabs on Melissa, to follow her online activity, track her phone calls, and even report who came to the house. Ethan's lawyer objected, but the judge allowed her full testimony. Claire admitted she eventually quit because she felt uncomfortable with what she was being asked to do. This revelation shook the courtroom. It painted Ethan in a controlling light, something Melissa had been trying to prove since day one. The judge ordered a deeper investigation into the digital surveillance claims. Meanwhile, the children continued their rotation schedule between households, and the emotional toll was showing. Max now had weekly sessions with the school counselor. Lily began wetting the bed, something she hadn't done in years. The judge issued a stern reminder to both parents. If either was found to be creating a hostile environment for the children, custody arrangements would be reconsidered entirely. Both sides attempted to clean up their narratives. Melissa posted a heartfelt video online, urging people not to judge a mother for being tired, emotional, or overwhelmed. It went viral. As the new court date approached, Ethan and Melissa prepared for what would be the most critical hearing yet. The psychologist's evaluations had been completed, and the co-parenting counselor submitted a thorough report. Both documents would be central to the judge's final decision. The courtroom was quiet that morning. Ethan arrived early, carrying Max's favorite comic book. Melissa walked in shortly after, holding Lily's hairbrush, a small token that reminded her of her daughter's laughter. Both parents were visibly more somber, more reflective. The months of legal conflict had aged them emotionally. The psychologist took the stand first. She spoke calmly, professionally, but her words carried weight. Both parents exhibit deep love for their children. However, unresolved tension, lack of communication, and emotional defensiveness have created a high-conflict environment that is negatively impacting the children. She concluded her statement with a clear recommendation: joint custody, contingent upon both parents engaging in continued therapy, co-parenting counseling, and establishing a structured parenting plan, monitored by a family liaison. This wasn't the outcome either had aggressively pushed for, but it offered hope. Then came the moment everyone had been anticipating: the children's testimonies. Rather than having them speak publicly, the court used previously recorded video sessions from their meetings with the family therapist. The judge and legal teams watched closely. In the footage, Max said softly, "I just want Mum and Dad to stop fighting. I don't want to choose. I want both." Lily looked into the camera and whispered, "Sometimes I feel like it's my fault. I try to be good so they won't be mad at each other." The room fell into stunned silence. Even the court stenographer paused. It was a heartbreaking reminder of who this trial was really about. Both Ethan and Melissa cried quietly. After the video ended, Ethan took the stand again. This time, he spoke with sincerity and humility. "I thought winning meant full custody. But sitting here, listening to my children, I realized I've been fighting the wrong battle. I need to fight for peace, for healing, for their happiness, not mine." Melissa followed. Her words mirrored Ethan's shift. "I've held on so tightly to anger, I forgot what matters most. I'm not here to destroy their father. I'm here to build a future where my kids feel safe and loved, no matter where they sleep." The judge nodded, scribbled notes, and then called for a recess. Outside the courtroom, reporters waited, but Ethan and Melissa made no statements. For the first time, they sat side by side on the courthouse bench. They didn't speak, but the silence was no longer tense. It was peaceful, almost like the eye of a storm that had finally passed. The final witness of the day was the school counselor. She shared the emotional progress of both children. Max had begun smiling more. Lily stopped wetting the bed. "The children are healing," she said, "but they need consistency, communication, and above all, unity between their parents." As court resumed, the judge last part 4. 3 months had passed since the court's decision to implement the shared custody arrangement. Ethan and Melissa had adhered to the structured plan, attended every co-parenting counseling session, and slowly they began to build a new rhythm, not as a couple, but as allies in parenting. Max now spent Mondays through Thursdays with Ethan and weekends with Melissa, with alternating holidays. Lily had the opposite schedule. It wasn't perfect, but it was a step toward fairness. More importantly, it gave each child quality time with both parents, which was the court's main priority. The follow-up court hearing was scheduled for a warm Friday morning. As Ethan and Melissa entered the courthouse, there was a different energy between them. The tension had softened. They even shared a cup of coffee in the waiting area, something unimaginable 6 months ago. The judge reviewed the updates from the family liaison, counselors, and school officials. Each one reported notable improvements. Communication between the parents had improved dramatically. The children had adjusted well to the new schedule. Max had started inviting both parents to his art exhibitions. Lily talked openly about her feelings, no longer bottling up her fears. The judge looked up, smiled, and said, "What we have here is not just a compliance report, it's a transformation." Melissa gave a soft nod. Ethan's eyes glistened. Then came a surprise. Melissa stood up voluntarily and addressed the court. "Your Honor, I'd like to request a modification to our parenting plan, not because I want more time, but because I believe Ethan and I are ready to make decisions together without court supervision. We've come a long way. I trust him now." Ethan stood beside her. "We'll still follow the schedule, but we'd like the flexibility to adjust based on what's best for the kids. Max just asked if we could do a family game night, all 4 of us." The judge leaned back in his chair. This is the kind of outcome the court hopes for. Not just legal resolution, but emotional healing. He granted the motion. The co-parenting counselor would still check in monthly, but the formal court oversight was officially reduced. After court, Ethan and Melissa walked to a nearby park where Max and Lily waited. They greeted their parents with squeals and hugs, For the first time in a long while, the family sat on the same picnic blanket, laughing, eating sandwiches, and enjoying a rare, unified moment. It wasn't a perfect picture. There were still wounds, still hard conversations ahead, but the battle had ended, and in its place, a new kind of peace had taken root. Later that night, Melissa posted a photo of the picnic on her private social media. The caption read, "Co-parenting is hard, but loving your children more than your anger, that's what makes it worth it." The post received dozens of supportive comments from friends and family. One read, "This is what real maturity looks like. Your kids are lucky." And they were. Not because Ethan and Melissa had stayed together, but because